Welcome to the Flight Club Podcast, a woman's guide to leaning out. We give you a behind-the-scenes look at business launch and growth through the stories of successful female entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Felina Hansen, founder and CEO of Hera Hub.
Hello and welcome. I'm really looking forward to my conversation today with Nikki Gal. She is a former fashion model and now is an entrepreneur, a mental health advocate, a speaker, a content consultant, and designer. She started in the fashion industry when she was 15, just 15 years old, and then migrated out of the fashion industry in 2018 when she decided to spread her wings and become an entrepreneur of her digital design company called See Through Nikki. She's also the founder of a mental health advocacy nonprofit. She's the founder and designer of an intimates line. She is the founder of a content and branding consultancy. All of these brands which hold her name. She is absolutely incredible. This girl is busier than I am. I can't even believe it. Her work has appeared in Cosmo, People Magazine, CIO, Today Magazine, The Sun, and many, many others. Oh, wait, also TV, Good Morning America. And she is on a mission to encourage all women that they are capable of every dream they put their mind to and to never limit themselves. Anything is possible. Welcome to the show today, Nikki.
Hi, Felina. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you. You are quite the busy gal. My goodness. And pun intended, like full pun intended there. So, okay. So let's go. I want to dive in, share your story. So let's start with, I know you're a Bostonian, true and true, born and raised, and you're still there now, right?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So let's start at the point in your career, 15 years old, you stepped into the fashion industry as a model. How did that come about?
I love that question. This is really the beginnings for me and my career just as a whole. So I started modeling around 15 years old. It's funny too, because I originally got scouted at the age of 12. I went to the open casting with my mom, we went in our car, and I unfortunately got rejected because I was too young and they thought I was older than I was. So flash forward to 3 years later, I'm 15 years old, and same thing happens. I got scouted by another modeling agency and I was of age. I was 15. So they took me and my modeling dreams kind of just came true. It was my lifelong dream to become a model, especially when I was a young girl. And it just kind of took off for me. And I started modeling professionally around the age of like 16. That's when I really started getting jobs and when I really started meeting other people and really networking within that community and that industry. And then I turned about, let's just say 18 years old, 19 years old. And I was still doing it. It was still something that, I fell back on. It was like my baby. It was awesome. But then I started saying, well, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Is this something that, is good for me? When you get so involved in one industry. Yeah.
It's a stress. I mean, I can only imagine, so much pressure, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
In that industry. I mean, I know I've spoken with folks over the years who've been even parts of that industry and have described it as being incredibly stressful. So,
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, totally. And it was more of a different environment for most 15-year-olds. Most 15-year-olds are in school, and I was in school as well, but they're not really juggling a modeling career on top of it. So, that was definitely a different upbringing for me. But it kind of also gave me the wings to fly in other ways as far as, my business structure, my business ethic. It taught me a lot of things early on, but even though it was teaching me also, so many things, again, I was limiting myself a little bit too much. And I eventually turned, I turned to probably about, 18, 19. I said, this isn't really what I want. This isn't really the path that I thought I was going to go down. And I feel like I became very uninspired. And after about 5 years, 4.5 years of being in that industry, again, I tended to backtrack a lot. And I really was like, wow, this is great, but it's not great, because there's great parts of it and then there's bad parts of it. And those bad parts are, again, the uninspiration vibe and feeling like I'm not doing enough, even though I'm doing everything. So I initially felt pretty empty and not really, exactly where I needed to be. So I left. I left, and I told myself, this is hard to leave. It's really hard to leave. Right? Again, that industry was my baby. It was like my second. It was like a huge priority for me. I had so many friends. I made so many amazing, amazing relationships, but it still wasn't doing enough for me. And I told myself, it's okay. I'm going to navigate another way. But it was scary because it was that risk taking that I didn't know about. And I took that risk of leaving, and I didn't know what was on the other side for me or my career or my well-being. I had no idea what was on the other side. So essentially, I really had to reinvent myself, and I had to recreate myself and redesign myself. And fast forward to now, that's really what I did. I'm the entrepreneur and businesswoman of 5 different companies. I'm working Monday through Sunday. I'm staying on that entrepreneurial grind, and I'm helping other women find their own dreams, and doing it organically as well, and finding what really is their strong suits, and so they don't become uninspired like I did. So it's essentially what I'm doing for my career, and really just my viewpoint as far as, now I'm a 24-year-old now, and I'm getting a little older, and I still have a lot of things to learn, but I'm learning as we're going along. Right. And you gotta learn somewhere. So that's really where I am right now.
Man, you have achieved so much, girl. You
Thank you.
I can't even believe you're 24. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So let's talk about, you make this decision. This is, what you think will be your path, and you decide to leave. What was your first step? I know you have now 5 brands, excuse me. But what was the first line of business that you started?
First line of business with my digital design company. My digital design company, See Through Nikki, actually was created in 2019. I had an art background, so I was, very good with it, and it was really just something that I naturally gravitated towards from a very young age. Unfortunately, that passion got neglected when I was modeling. Never really tuned into it, never really tapped into it, kind of forgot about it. I put it in a closet and I just forgot, and I was modeling, and that was just what I did. So I really took mental inventory. I think the first step to really re-navigating yourself and directing yourself was really taking mental inventory on what I really wanted and what I really needed. I thought back to when I was a child, and I said, well, what made me passionate when I was a little girl? What made me happy? Oh, my art did. I would color in coloring books. I'd paint on the walls, and I thought back to that time as when I was a kid, and I said to myself, okay, I can do that. I did that as a child, but I can still do it somewhere in my adult life as well, because that's what truly made me happy. And so See Through Nikki was, again, kind of a last minute risk taking decision. I never thought in a million years I would own a digital design company or be able to sell my art or commercially. I never thought in a million years I would be able to do that. As you hear things about the art industry, and you hear not so many good things. You hear of the starving artist, or you're a struggling creative, or all these different titles and all these different names, but that really didn't scare me. I knew what I needed to do. And it was either I was going to fail or I was going to succeed. It's a 50-50 shot in any realm of business or any direction in business. But the art industry, it's basically playing with fire. You don't know what's going to happen. It's just very, very, it's a very scary industry, because there are really no answers, and there really are no guarantees. Mm-hmm. So for some reason that attracted me. Don't know why, but it did. And I totally just put myself right where I needed to be. And that company was actually, again, a last minute decision on my part, but it was a needed decision on my part. I didn't really know what else to do other than focus on my art. So that's essentially what I did. The creation. Yeah, thank you. The creation of the company too, I kind of wanted to dig into as well, because I feel like as someone with no business experience, again, I was a fashion model, so I didn't have any experience in business. I never took a business course or anything. Yeah. So I was like a deer in headlights, and I kind of had to learn as I went along. and that's not really a bad thing. You have to really learn as you go along, and, you learn from trial and error. Your mistakes are really your blessings. You have to kind of, take them, not so lightly. You got to take some time and learn. And it's really what I did with my first company, See Through Nikki. So that too, I remember putting my first real digital design out there. It was actually for a friend of mine, and she had pretty massive following on Instagram. And she said, I know, and this before I even really had my company, this was kind of in the works. And she said to me, oh, like I really want a portrait, like I know you do those awesome digital portraits. I really want one. I said, yeah, but I don't really think it's my best work. But if you want me to, okay, cool. Like, awesome. She's like, I want to post it because it's so cool. And I'm like, oh, okay, we'll see what happens. And she posted it, and the whole thing just took off. And overnight, I mean, my DMs were full, her DMs were full. My email was, through the roof. And that's when I knew that I had a product. I had that product, and
so cool.
I ran with it. Thank you.
Definitely. And so your Instagram handle is See Through Nikki, and that's Nikki. If folks are obviously listening on audio, we want to spell that. Really, really, really unique. And I'm curious, have you gotten into the NFT market at all, Nikki, with your artwork?
I have dabbled in it a little bit. Yes,
okay.
There are some
this seems
projects
like
coming.
This seems like a perfect NFT project. Incredible.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. In 2023, 24, we'll see. We'll see.
The wild west of art. Yes. We've at Hera Hub, we've done it. We have some members that are, working in the NFT space and have come to educate us a bit. So it's been interesting to learn about that and just, such a different, exciting approach to the market.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. So I want to get into the 4 other businesses that you have as well. Let's start with your nonprofit and podcast, Raw Talk with Nikki Gal. How did that come about?
So that was also a last minute decision, but it wasn't, because that was in the works for a while. So for the longest time, I mean, oh my gosh, probably since I was in middle school, I saw a lot of people, come throughout my life, people that I knew, people that I didn't know, people that I kind of knew, and everyone was dealing with a lot of bad things, such as, mental health issues and mental health disorders. And I noticed that even from a young age, I was probably 11 or 12 or 13 at the time, these people, they didn't have a voice, and they didn't understand themselves. They didn't know. They felt so alone. And I remember seeing that from a young age, and it hurt me a lot. It made me feel like, wow, these people are really struggling, and I don't really want to see that anymore. So fast forward to my time in the modeling industry, my time just recently too, a lot of my friends and people that I've met, even within the modeling industry, they dealt with a lot as well. And that was really the motivation for that platform and the motivation for that podcast. I really wanted to create a foundation, but also create a platform that gives women a voice, gives women a feeling of being heard, a feeling of being unapologetic, and a feeling of being raw. So Raw Talk with me, was something that, again, was more so a last minute decision to launch, but it was, again, an idea that I had for a number of years, for 10 plus years, but really launching that platform, it also gave me a voice as well. It's interesting because here I am thinking, oh, I'm going to be helping all these people. And, I'm really going to be becoming a platform for a lot of people. And, that's really my duty right now, is to help women. But I said to myself, oh, I don't really think I'm going to help myself with this. I never thought in a million years. And it's so funny because I'll tell you a little quick story. When I was in 8th grade, I remember not wanting to be anywhere near a public speaking situation. I was like, don't call my name. Like, even though I know the answer, don't call on me. Like, I don't want to present. I don't want to, do a presentation to the class. And I was so nervous. I was a very, very shy child. So really breaking out of that with Raw Talk and becoming a public speaker. And even what I'm doing now with you right now, I would have never dreamed of doing about 10 years ago or 15 years ago. So it's really helped me develop my own voice as well. So, I'm helping other women, but I'm also helping myself. So it's a very, very, very cool thing. And also alongside mental health, it is a mental health platform. It is a mental health podcast. And essentially, again, it's just helping people find their voice and help people not feeling so alone.
That's amazing. And you've been at it a while, 146 episodes.
Yeah. I just hit 151 today, actually.
Nice.
So yeah, we're
Cool.
going.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love it. 4 seasons. Awesome.
Thank you.
If folks want to follow you there, again, handle is Raw Talk with Nikki Gal on Instagram. And it looks like you've got some amazing guests that you worked with just by looking over. Okay. We're coming down the list here. Okay, so you have an intimates line. That's incredible. Talk about
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. So my time of being in the fashion industry, I was always the mannequin, right? I mean, oh my gosh, I was the mannequin. And for the longest time with being in the industry, I said, one day I'm going to have my own line of some kind, my own fashion line of some sort. So putting that together as well was a process. I mean, really putting anything together as far as business goes, it is a process. It takes time, and that's okay. And I was willing to be patient for that. So I just launched. I'm actually launching in October of this year. But the idea again has been in the works for about 4.5 months. I started in late May, and I worked my way up to really, getting everything together. But Gal Intimates is really a line and a company to celebrate the woman, celebrate who you are internally and externally. I think too, having a fashion background, again, I was a model for a number of years. I know a lot about how women feel about themselves. I've been around a lot of women. I've seen body image issues. I've seen it all. And again, that's another topic that, we can talk about, but that's again, a very wide range topic. But I mean, I could talk to you for hours about that, but I saw things like that growing up, and especially being in the fashion industry. And again, that was also the motivation for this line, for this intimates line. I wanted women to feel confident in their own skin. And, you hear brands say that all the time, but I really wanted to take that genuine approach. And I really want people to understand themselves through, their clothes and through what they might be feeling that day. Of course, when you look in the mirror, you're not going to love yourself every single day. But if you can find one day, out of the week that you can put on some, intimates and feel comfortable and feel free and feel liberated as a woman, that's that message that I want everyone to receive. So that was really that for me. And again, I'm so excited for that project. It's again been amazing. I just actually got my models 2 weeks ago to model for the brand, and it's just everything's just coming together so beautifully. And again, I'm very, very excited for that launch and very excited for that project. That's
great. Where are you manufacturing?
I am manufacturing in the United States.
Oh wow!
So it was hard. It's hard to do. There's so many bookings.
And it's just the whole. Like I have a bit of background in apparel manufacturing randomly, cool. And a lot of our members a handful of our members at Hera Hub are manufacturing lines, and so. Over the years, I've learned quite a bit just through the stories of others of what the challenge that can bring, the cost, pricing structures, and then
it's an investment
for sure. And then just offshore, with what's happened recently with inflation and shipping costs and things of that nature. Obviously, a great decision to do it domestically.
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes. It's probably been one of the best decisions I've made business-wise, ironically, because everything's coming together. And I think when you have a vision that you really want, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's so worth it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I want to come back to the Intimates line, because I know that's new and a project that's, fresh off the press here. I do want to pause and ask a question just about some of the comments that you made in regards to just the fashion industry and the mental health challenges that can come out of being in that industry. Do you see it changing, Nikki, at all? In other words, you started in the industry about 10 years ago, a decade ago. As you've transitioned out of the industry, maybe with friends or colleagues that are still in the industry. Do you see it changing, or is it basically the same? Changing meaning more accepting, more open of different body types and things of that nature, or is it just pretty much the same as it was 10 years ago?
Great question. I have witnessed a slow shift. It's a progressive shift, but it's a slow one. Back when I was in that game, the modeling industry, and really just the whole life of that, it was very, and this was also back in the 90s, not just when I did it 10 years ago. This was back in the 90s and the early 2000s and really the mid 2010s, I feel. It was that unhealthy image of women that were, obviously struggling with body image problems. And that was very much promoted. That was more so a trend. And that's really, again, all that was really publicized and seen among companies such as, I don't really want to name different companies, but what I'm talking about, different, very wide publicized, basically famous brands that were promoting this unhealthy image of women. I do feel like throughout the years, it's changed a little bit. And again, keyword a little, I see a little change. I think it's going to get better as time goes on. But one thing that I do want to touch on the subject is it's the genuine approach. I do unfortunately feel like a lot of companies are hiring plus size models or, just that type of model to really fit that mold to make more sales. It's not so much to include people genuinely from a genuine mindset or genuine aspect.
I was hoping you would say something.
Yeah.
Different. Oh no.
What do you think I would say?
No, I mean, my hope was that you would say that companies do genuinely care, but I guess that doesn't surprise me.
I wish I could. I wish I wish I could say that too. And I wish I could, but I do know a lot of models that, again, are plus size models that are working today in that industry. And unfortunately, I hear all these stories, and I can't say that. No, I can't. Well, my honest answer is that. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. But again, there is hope for it. I think there will be a change. I think there will be a genuine approach. I think there will be, everybody will get to feel comfortable and get to be themselves within the fashion industry. I hope to see that day. It might be 20 years from now, but I hope to see it.
Well, I mean, I think your work through the podcast and your nonprofit hopefully will help move that needle.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to touch on, you also do content and brand consulting, photography, and film. How do you have time for all of this?
Oh my gosh, so that's a good question. That's like the $1 million question, right? Yeah, I mean, balance. It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to prioritize, especially with everybody working, their 9-to-5s, or they're doing this project and that project. I mean, life moves so fast, and sometimes you feel like you're on an unstopping hamster wheel and you can't really stop. Yeah. And trust me, I feel like that basically every day, but you have to keep going. My film company, Shots by Gal, that again was such an amazing project that I started last year in September. Ironically, I think it's been about a year, since launch of that project. I've worked with so many beautiful girls, inside and out. And I've, really, my film, I mean, it's also a photography company. I mean, that's really the main goal of it, but it does, promote the film, such as Polaroid photography and just things like that you don't really see too much anymore. And I kind of wanted to reinvent that and put that back out there for people to see visually. Also too, I've helped so many other models, help them with their Polaroids and help them with their digitals that, say if they're trying to get signed with their dream agency, I help them with that as well. So it's been very, very fun trying to, help people with their goals, help people with their futures, and do it in such a creative, photographic way. Photography, I feel like, is a voice within itself. You can capture a lot. You can capture a lot through a lens. I'll tell you that. And
it's an art. I mean, you're an artist.
It is.
It's an art form.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. And it's amazing. And it's also unapologetic because you can really be whatever you want through a lens. So it's very, very beautiful. I'm very, very proud of that project. And also too, galvanized by myself as well, my name, that too is a content creating, branding, consulting agency. And I really wanted, which is launching in January. And I really also wanted to help women with their entrepreneurial goals as well. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I'm a businesswoman. And I, again, know a lot of women that are struggling every day to get their foot in that door, the entrepreneurial door, but they just don't know how to do it. And I get questions all the time, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? How do you balance this? How do you do that? And I tell myself, why can't I give them a workshop that they can learn from, take notes, create pictures, draw this, draw that, and get their ideas out on paper so that they can navigate it for their future. I really want to guide women in the right direction. I think also too, in this day and age, you can really read like anything online or read this or read that. But I think too, when you talk with someone one-on-one and you can actually ask them or listen to a podcast about their experience, I think it's such a beautiful connection, and there's really nothing else out there like it. So that's essentially what I create with that company as well. I just want people to learn from me, and I can point them in the right direction as far as what they want to do with their companies or their future, and make their passions into a business reality like I did. So yeah, that's another project that I'm just so, so, so grateful for. It's been amazing. I'm very, very grateful.
Awesome. Okay. So I want to come back around to your Intimates launch. Talk a bit about the products themselves. What did you start with?
Absolutely. I started with underwear, which I think a lot of companies do typically start with underwear because it's like the easiest thing.
Yeah.
I did start with underwear. So really the designing of everything, again, that was a process within itself. I took about 4 months with another designer to really map out what I wanted for the brand. I wanted it to be neutral. I wanted it to be, classic, kind of have that classic feel. But I also wanted it to be, pretty muted colors, not so much going on. So I wanted it to just kind of feel like it was a second skin. That's, essentially what I wanted to feel. So it is cotton based. It is also spandex based. So really, I wanted also the comfortable factor. Trust me, I've put on a lot of different underwear in my life, and not a lot of them are comfortable. They're beautiful, but they're not comfortable.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to put both of those in dual action and create a product that was both comfortable, but also beautiful and something that was nice. And you felt like, wow, this is such a cool piece. I want to wear this forever. So I really wanted to put 2 and 2 together. The process of really getting a manufacturing label and really getting everything in production, that too was a lot. I will say that a lot. We're just gonna name that chapter a lot because it was a lot. But
that's
it was
a whole another conversation. We'll have you back to share all the perils of getting
everything
into design and manufacturing. Yeah,
it was amazing though. Yeah, it's great, and it's a process. Just like with everything, it's a process.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome. It was amazing. And again, I'm very grateful that I even have the opportunity to do this, because not many people do. So yes.
Okay, awesome. So starting off with underwear, what's next from there?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I am launching my consultant company in January, and I do have a book in the works.
Nice.
So yeah, I am doing that. It's actually kind of, business entrepreneurial sense and really what I've learned and what I can pass on to other people. I might be doing something a little bit more like creative. Well, I mean, I already am doing like a lot of creative things, but something a little bit more, out of the box for me. I don't know what it is yet, but I think it's always important to kind of branch out and stem out and really, experiment a little bit. You only live once, try everything. Why not try everything?
Yeah.
So I don't know what that entails for me. I don't know what really is in store for me, but, honestly, just keeping my options open, going for it, and, staying level-headed trying to stay level-headed among it all, I think is very, very important for me.
Awesome. I love it. For the Intimates line, will you have your own site for that or own Instagram for that?
I do. I am currently selling exclusively through my main Instagram, which is Property of NG. The line is an exclusive line. It will only be available for 1 month. And unfortunately, I do have all my bookings. I'm only taking about 50 to 60 clients, and all those booking slots are unfortunately full. Okay. But I might be launching something else in the near future. So you never know. I might do something off of a branch off that brand. So you never know.
Okay, cool. Will you repeat that handle one more time so folks get it?
Absolutely. Property of NG.
Okay. Property of
It's my initials.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Just wanted to make sure I heard it correctly, and we'll put that in the show notes as well.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So if folks do want to get in touch with you, what's the best channel, the best handle, and where do you spend the most of your time?
Absolutely. You can reach me at my main Instagram property of NG. I unfortunately don't check those DMs a lot, those direct messages a lot. So you can reach me at my company email at seethroughnikki@gmail.com, or you can send me a DM at seethroughnikki on Instagram as well. So I'm always open to, just talking about what you want, and I can, help you with your own life in some way, I hope. So yeah, reach out to me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Nikki. I've definitely learned a lot and enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you again so much, Felina.
Thank you for joining this week's episode of Flight Club, sponsored by Hera Hub. We look forward to sharing more success stories with you soon.